Hi, I'm Mike Lemieux. Some of you know me as Mikey or Giddy Up Mikey, and I am the author of this book here, Dude, Where's My Jesus Fish? Not to be confused with the Ashton Kutcher movie, Dude, Where's My Car? That's where I ripped off the title from anyway. But I'm here today to discuss A Course in Miracles, politics, and specialness. Politics has been a very hot topic this year, being that it's a presidential election year here in the United States, and one without an incumbent, so that makes it even more insane. And it certainly gives people an opportunity to project their unconscious guilt. I've been fairly vocal about politics on my Facebook page in the past year or so. I don't necessarily have any forgiveness opportunities with it. I just kind of find it interesting. I just find myself to be a spectator of it. I'm not emotionally invested in it. I know a lot of people I'm associated with, big fans of Bernie Sanders. Feel the burn! But I didn't feel inclined to jump on that bandwagon because of the two-party system he was operating in, or the two-party dictatorship as it's sometimes called. I don't believe you're really voting for a candidate in that two-party system. I think you're just voting for the system, the establishment, because it's establishment that owns these two parties: the big banks, the pharmaceutical industry, the oil industry, the health insurance companies, war profiteers, and such. So I don't think at the end of the day the candidate really matters. And now we're in a position where our top two candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, are so despised by people that people are going to vote for Trump because they despise Hillary, and people are going to vote for Hillary because they hate Trump. So it's kind of like this sick system we've got going on here, and a lot of fear-based voting rather than seeking outside of that two-party thing, because mainstream media, those are the only ones they really promote, is the two parties. But there are other choices, and there will be other choices. But I believe the whole thing has been set up for Hillary to win this, and we'll have likely have our first female president. But as Adam Sandler once said, "What big do?" You know, what's that going to really mean? Really, our first woman president? You know, if she's still part of that corporate ownership. So I don't think that really means anything. Of course, the other female candidate, the one I'll be voting for, Jill Stein of the Green Party, and she reminds people, there will be more than just a racist billionaire and a warmonger on your ballot this fall. So you might want to do some research on that. Anyway, what else was I going to say? Oh, so yeah. Voting for Jill Stein, you might say I'm wasting my vote voting for a third-party candidate, or in this case, a fourth-party candidate, because you also have the Libertarian Party with Gary Johnson as the nominee there. But I say you're wasting your vote if you vote for a Democrat or Republican, unless you're a billionaire, because a vote for a Democrat or Republican is a vote for the establishment, the vote for the 1%, the vote for the two-party dictatorship, and thus you're voting against yourself. Now, admittedly, I've naively, the last several presidential elections, voted the lesser of two evils. But now I'm going back to my independent roots. And as Jill Stein says, voting for the lesser of two evils is paving the way for the greater evil. So, anyway, politics is not my area of expertise. I don't have all the answers like I do with A Course in Miracles. When you know the real truth about the nature of the world being an insignificant dream, politics isn't something you want to waste a lot of time on. I've been following it a little bit more the last year or so just because I find it interesting, but like I said, I'm not really emotionally invested in it. I don't expect anything to really change. But I know enough not to give the mainstream media too much credibility, and neither should you. They're bought and paid for by the same corporations that own the two-party system. So, but those who are very serious about politics and political viewpoints, you would probably best be served seeking out non-mainstream media news sources, and you can find plenty of them online, free of the hogwash and political theater that you get with the mainstream news media. And kind of like how you get Jesus without the religion in A Course in Miracles, something along those lines. Which is the perfect segue into what I want to get into next, because there is indeed an answer for the state of the world. And it goes well beyond anything that the political realm can offer us. As Gary Renard, the best-selling of the Disappearance of the Universe, this is his book here. It's kind of falling apart, but I keep it anyway because I have all my notes and highlights in there. So anyway, in his second book, Your Immortal Reality, he says, if you solve one problem in the universe of time and space, then what you get is another problem. So that's kind of like the way the world is set up. It keeps you looking out there to solve problems outside. So at the end of the day, none of this political stuff really matters because the world can't really be fixed. It can only be awakened from. It's just a dream. However, there's nothing wrong with having preferences while we appear to be here. And I don't know about you, but I would much prefer a government that actually looks out for the greater good rather than the establishment and the 1%. But I have no expectation of that happening anytime soon, if ever. A Course in Miracles states, there is no point in trying to change the world, for it is incapable of change because it's merely an effect. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about the world. Here you're changing the cause. The effect will change automatically. And that effect isn't something you necessarily see out in the world. The effect is something you experience, because if you're practicing this true forgiveness that's taught in A Course in Miracles, then you can be happy and peaceful regardless of what's happening in the world. And that's the whole point of the Course. And that's where real power is. Gary's teachers tell us in this third book, Love Has Forgotten No One, you can still have a free mind even if you don't have a free country. And again, the focus of the Course isn't about fixing up the world. The focus is on awakening from the dream that there is a world. Because the world doesn't really exist. It just seems like it does because fear reigns here. In fact, A Course in Miracles says, fear binds the world, forgiveness sets it free. So that's our answer, is forgiveness. But if you haven't read Disappearance in the Universe, that's something you want to do because it explains what forgiveness really means and how to apply it into your life. But that's not the focus of this conversation here. I've got other videos where I talk more about forgiveness in depth. And the Course says, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Anyway, another observation I do have, I find it interesting that people who think outside of the system with their spirituality don't necessarily do that with their political views, and they kind of stay stuck in that two-party system mindset. But on the flip side, you also have people that have much more conservative viewpoints of A Course in Miracles, who are much more politically progressive. But it's also these same people that think the Course is about what you do in the world and make it important and special and real. And it's usually these same people that are usually drawn to other versions of the Course in Miracles book. There are, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 different versions. This is the official version here, published by Foundation for Inner Peace. It kind of says it here on the bottom. The rest of it's kind of worn out on the front. But anyway, there are other versions of the Course book, and people who are generally drawn to these other versions make it about what you do in the world, make it important. And that's certainly not the focus of the Course. In fact, the Course says that you must change your mind, not your behavior, and this is a matter of willingness. You do not need guidance except at the mind level. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Change does not mean anything on the symptom level where it cannot work. Anyway, these same people too, that are drawn to other versions of the Course also usually believe that God created individual souls. And this is where I want to talk about specialness. But the Course teaches that the Holy Spirit knows no one is special. And I just wanted to read you a few lines about the atonement, because then tie it in with specialness here. To follow the Holy Spirit's guidance is to let yourself be absolved of guilt. It is the essence of the atonement. It is the core of the curriculum. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. Atonement becomes real and visible to those who use it. On earth, this is your only function, and you must learn that it is all you want to learn. And the means of the atonement is forgiveness. Okay? So we've said all that about the atonement, and that the means of the atonement is forgiveness. And if the Course says forgiveness is the end of specialness, so what the hell does that tell you about God creating individual souls? Sometimes with the Course, you kind of have to put two and two together. Jesus doesn't always spell everything out in the Course, so you kind of have to read between the lines sometimes and figure it out. You can't have both specialness and oneness is certainly the end game. You can call it God, you can call it heaven, whatever you want to call it, but that is where the Course ultimately takes us to. Now, I don't say what I just said. I don't say it to condemn anyone or for misinterpreting the Course. It's going to happen. They're simply mistaken. I just like to put that out there because you have people that call themselves Course in Miracles teachers who put this misinformation out there, and people that are new to this can easily get confused and overwhelmed. So I feel like somebody's got to be out there putting real information out there. Gary Renard does it all the time, but he shouldn't have to do all the heavy lifting. So I kind of like to do something like this every once in a while too. It's not my function to bullshit anybody, only to be truly helpful. So, and some people love me for that, some people don't, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, and you can apply this for yourself, it doesn't matter how people see you, it only matters how you see them, and guilty or innocent are the only two choices. That's why Jesus says in the Course, I am constantly being perceived as a teacher either to be exalted or rejected, but I do not accept either perception for myself. Anyway, I've kind of talked long enough. God, that was like, 10 minutes maybe? That's a lot of talking. Anyway, I'm on Facebook quite a bit. I post on my Dude Where's My Jesus Fish page, I post daily quotes from Gary Renard's books along with scenic pictures I've taken. So if you're interested, you can join there. You can find it facebook.com/DWMJF. I also manage Gary Renard's fan page, and I post daily quotes from his books there as well. And you can find that facebook.com/Gary R. Renard. And I also got my J-Dog page. J-Dog's a nickname for Jesus I stole from Gary in his second book, Your Immortal Reality. And I post daily quotes from A Course in Miracles there. Facebook.com/JDog, ACIM. And I think that's about all I wanted to say today. Yeah. Anyway. Hey, looks like my hair's growing down to my nipples. I'm not due for another haircut for a couple of months. Anyway, maybe that was a little TMI. I need some water here. Yeah, I think I'm done. Okay, giddy up.